Harald Fairhair was a Viking king who has undoubtedly left his mark across European medieval history, having fundamentally altered the course of Norwegian society by becoming the first king of the nation and uniting the entire country under his iron-fisted rule. The name Harald Fairhair evokes a sense of admiration and reverence amongst many Norwegians even to this day, and his relentless conquest to bring the warring chieftains of Norway to heel show the depths of his intelligence and ambition. And although Harald's legacy is primarily focused around his martial prowess and political influence, there seems to be very little consideration given into understanding how this powerful Viking monarch actually passed away. Did a Viking of such high repute and ambition die fighting bravely in battle to his bitter end, or did he die peacefully in old age having fulfilled all his life's goals and ambitions? To answer this question, we will be analyzing 3 medieval sources which make reference to the death of King Harald Fairhair, so that way we can truly understand how exactly did King Harald of Norway actually die. But before we begin, don't forget, if you want to learn more about the deaths of some of history's greatest figures, then subscribe to my channel Historical Exit. Before delving further into the cause of death for Harald Fairhair, an important disclaimer needs to be highlighted prior to analyzing the medieval accounts of how this monarch passed, and that is the fact that no contemporary sources exist which make reference to the death of Harald Fairhair, and our earliest sources for his passing are written approximately 200 years after he passed away in the 930s AD. Fortunately though, all the sources that do discuss Harald's death share a high degree of uniformity, and their depiction of his final days are nearly identical. So although these sources may not be contemporary to the time of King Harald, there is still very little reason to critique the authenticity and validity of these historical texts. So with all that in mind, let us discuss our first medieval source for King Harald's death, which is the Short History of the Kings of Norway, a historical document which was created in the 12th century by an unknown author, but this text provides a brief overview of all the great kings of Norway from the 9th to the 12th century, one of which is the subject of this video, Harald Fairhair. And the Short History of the Kings of Norway states the following in regards to the death of the first king of Norway. After Harald had reigned for many years and had become old, he gave the kingdom to his son Eirik and died soon afterward. This theory purports that Harald ruled the kingdom of Norway for many years and passed away from natural causes at a non-specified old age, and that he relinquished power to his son Eirik Bloodaxe shortly before his passing. This discourse fits very well within the historical timeline and the evidence which supports the transfer of power from Harald Finehair to his son Eirik Bloodaxe, a powerful and fearsome Viking warrior in his own right, as his moniker would imply. Eirik Bloodaxe was a historical figure who also had a very bloody and mysterious death, and I may do a video in the future on how he died, so make sure you're subscribed for that and let me know in the comments below if that's a video you'd be interested in watching. But carrying on, even though the discourse presented within the Short History of the Kings provides a highly plausible cause of death for King Harald, it is still only a singular source with an unidentified author. Therefore, to provide further validity to this discourse, additional medieval sources need to be considered. And luckily, there are 2 other historical texts which make reference to the death of Harald Fairhair, the Heimskringla and the Fagerskana, which provides further support to this discourse. The Heimskringla states that King Harald lived to be 80 years of age. He died of sickness and was buried in Haug in Rogaland, Norway, after having ruled Norway for 70 years. So, nearly an identical depiction to what was ascertained within our first medieval source, but with some additional information highlighted as well, such as Harald passing away from an illness and a place of burial also being identified as well. When one takes into consideration the following quote from the Fagerskana, this viewpoint gets further established and becomes nearly irrefutable. Harald Harfagri, who had reigned the longest of all kings in Norway, died after he had surrendered the kingdom to his son Eirik Bloodaxe. Therefore, we have 3 medieval texts, the Short History of the Kings of Norway, the Heimskringla, and the Fagerskana, all of which purport exactly the same discourse, that King Harald of Norway passed away at an elderly age and abdicated his throne to his son Eirik Bloodaxe. With no alternative discourses mentioned in any medieval sources, there is no reason to suspect anything other than a natural death for Harald Fairhair. And also, if we take into consideration the fact that a number of Harald's battles are recorded and documented in historical chronicles, so if there was any chance that King Harald met his end in battle, one of these sources would have recorded the event, and oral tradition would have embellished this fact like it has for many other Viking warriors. But that was not the end destined for King Harald, as he would live a long life and pass away from an unspecified illness at the age of 80, having accomplished more than he ever could have imagined. So I really hope you found this video to be interesting and informational, and if you did, please do like and share it with others. And if you want to learn more about the deaths of some of history's greatest figures, then subscribe to my channel Historical Exit, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.